6:30 my workday was over, and by 7 I was already home. Since it was Friday, I could stay up late. I made myself some tea and settled in front of the TV to watch a movie. I didn't even notice how it had gotten past midnight when suddenly the doorbell rang. Who could possibly be here this late? I thought. I walked to the door and peeked through the peephole, but there was no one there. I almost opened the door to check the hallway, but something stopped me. It was like a sixth sense screaming, "Don't open it." I brushed it off, thinking it must be some kids from the neighborhood playing around. I sat back down in front of the TV, and again, the doorbell rang. This time it was more insistent. I checked the peephole again. Nothing. But the bell kept ringing. I decided to open the door. It was pitch dark. You couldn't see a thing. The doorbell button was stuck, so I tried to fix it. As I fiddled with it, an icy shiver ran down my spine. The unmistakable feeling that someone was standing right there in the dark. I slammed the door shut. I went back to the TV, but the unease lingered. Eventually, I fell asleep, only to be woken by a faint noise from the kitchen. It wasn't loud. My first thought, the cat must have knocked something over. I opened my bedroom door and froze. My cat was asleep in her usual spot. The noise in the kitchen continued. Goosebumps ran over my skin. My chest tightened. A few seconds later, the sound stopped. I decided to check, but first I listened closely. In the silence, I could hear faint footsteps moving from the kitchen toward me. Terrified, I slammed my bedroom door shut and blocked it with a heavy chair. The whole apartment was dark. I couldn't see what it was. I thought about calling someone, but it was late, and the fear of being thought insane outweighed the fear of what was outside my door. I sat in the dark for the rest of the night. Then, the doorbell again. 5 a.m. But this time, it was slow, long, as if someone was holding the button down for far too long. I froze in bed. The bell stopped and my phone rang. Unknown number. Who is this? My voice shook. Silence. Ben. Breathing. Slow. Uneven. And a whisper. Almost too quiet to hear. Open. I turned off the phone and tossed it away. I lay there until morning. The whole day, I couldn't stop thinking about it, but I told no one. That evening, back from work, I tried to convince myself it was all just a dream. I made dinner, sat in the kitchen, and worked on some papers. Before I knew it, midnight. The light above the table flickered and went out. In the dimness, I saw the corner of the kitchen grow darker. Not just shadow, something thick, viscous, with a shape. It didn't move, but I knew it was looking at me. I stumbled backward, tripping over a chair, ran to the bedroom, slammed the door. My breathing quickened, and then the silence, another breath, right outside the door. Deep, slow, but with each inhale, it grew louder, closer, as if it was sliding through the keyhole. Then a knock, not on the door, but on the wall, right next to my head. I pressed myself into the corner and grabbed my phone, the screen stained black, dead. Silence for what felt like an eternity. I almost believed it was over, until I heard the soft click of my front door's lock. Someone was inside. Footsteps, slow, measured, coming toward the bedroom. Then they stopped. I held my breath, and in the gap beneath the door, a black shadow began to creep inside. It moved like liquid, curling around the legs of the table, then stopped. I didn't even have time to recoil before fingers began to rise from it. Too long, too thin, and with every movement, they cracked like breaking dry branches. I always thought such horrors existed only in movies or in scary stories. But one night, it happened to me. That morning, the sun flooded my room with warm light, and outside the window, the sounds of cars and voices made it all seem like a ridiculous dream. But the next night, when darkness crept back into the apartment, my certainty melted away like smoke. I live on the 3rd floor. The windows face the courtyard, where at night the only thing visible is an old wooden bench under a street lamp. That day was unbearably hot. Even late in the evening, the air was thick and sticky, like melted wax. By night I was drained, tossed and turned, trying to sleep. Some time after I drifted off, thirst woke me. 3:45. I poured a glass of cold water, gulped down half. The rest I took to the open window to feel the long-awaited night breeze. I took a sip, looked into the yard, and froze. She was sitting there, an old woman bent over, wearing a loose gray dress, unnaturally thin, tall, sitting slightly hunched, staring straight ahead. I couldn't take my eyes off it. Then she slowly turned her head and stared right at me, as if she knew I was watching. A few seconds passed, her eyes locked onto mine, and I screamed silently in my mind, unable to move. Then she opened her mouth and began to stretch it wider, wider, into a grotesque parody of a smile. Her skin pulled tight. The dark hollow of her mouth swallowed her features, leaving her face shapeless. I gasped for air, but she kept smiling wider. Then she raised her hand, slowly, as if greeting me, and suddenly wagged her finger, scolding. Her head began to sway side to side like a broken doll, but her gaze drilled deeper into my brain. Her eyes had no color, no pupils, just thick darkness. And something moving inside it. I don't want to imagine what would have happened next if the glass hadn't slipped from my hand and shattered on the kitchen floor. The sound broke the trance. I could breathe again. I looked away, ran to my bedroom, clutching the walls for balance. Under the blanket, my pulse slowed, my breathing. Sleep began to take me, and just before I drifted off, I heard it from the kitchen, a sound like a raspy, unnatural laugh, turning into a faint whimper. It stopped. I dared to look out the bedroom window to check the bench. Empty. I almost sighed in relief until I saw it in the glass reflection. A figure standing right behind me, too tall to be mine. I love exploring abandoned places with my friends. One day, a friend and I went to photograph a large, unfinished, abandoned building. As we passed the fence surrounding it, we heard a terrifying scream. We froze. I told my friend I wasn't going in, but his eyes lit up. I refused, but he couldn't be convinced. After a brief argument, he suddenly bolted for the entrance. He'll run in and get scared, I thought, but he didn't stop. In seconds, he vanished behind the fence. I hesitated, but slowly walked toward the gate. Then, suddenly, a woman appeared. Where did she come from? She looked straight into my eyes and said, Run away from here. You won't help your friend. You'll only find your own death. Before I could react, someone called my name. I turned. No one was there, and the woman was gone. Confused, I headed toward the building. The moment I stepped onto the property, dread washed over me. Goosebumps, heart racing. I called my friend several times. No answer. I searched the first floor. Empty. Second floor. Empty. Then I saw a staircase leading to the attic. I climbed. My legs felt heavy, my body sluggish, and in my head, her voice, run away. But I resisted. At the top, I looked around, and there he was, standing with his back to me. You scared me. Can you hear me? No reply. I stepped closer and saw his face, pale, lifeless. In the corner of the attic, movement. At first, I thought it was a shadow from a beam, but it straightened, revealing the silhouette of the woman I had had seen outside. Now she looked different. Her hair hung in wet, dark strands. Her skin was paler than chalk, stretched so tight it seemed ready to tear. Dark marks ringed her neck, like the imprint of fingers. She stepped forward. The floorboards didn't creak. They groaned, as if something else was moving beneath. The air reeked of dampness and rotting leaves. I stepped back, but the staircase was gone. Behind me, only a void, a cold wind pulling me in. She slowly turned her head toward me. Her eyes glinted, not with light, but with something deeper, something hungry. "You know you'll stay here," she whispered. A step behind me, another. I turned. My friend stood there, staring at me, his face twisted in fear, his lips moving silently. I was about to shout, "Run," when I realized someone else was standing beside me, an exact copy of my friend, only paler, quieter. He smiled. "Come," he said softly as usual. "You came for me, didn't you?"